This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to a somewhat gloomy but fortunately freshly watered Djuma Private Game Reserve. A very good morning to all of you. My name is Jamie, and this morning Sebastian is on camera with me. Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, which is an absolutely massive open protected wilderness area, one of the biggest in Africa in fact. Now, because this is a live show, it means that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, alternatively in the comments section of the YouTube chat stream. So, I have no idea how much rain we had. Seb, do you want to guess?
Yeah, 22.
You think 22? Okay, I was going with something along the lines of 12. Okay, let's see. I'm on the group. I'm on the rainfall group, so I can actually tell you once people start to. Let me see if nobody's started yet. It's a bit early. We intend to be earlier than even most of the lodges going on game drive, so nobody's checked their rain gauges yet. But I'll tell you a little bit later on. Guess how much rain we had? You can send through your answers on #SafariLive on Twitter. There's a big puddle over there. The good news, or the bad news? Bad news is that one of our repeaters appears to have had a negative experience in the storm. We don't really know what happened at this point. There's speculation that perhaps the lightning that was flashing around all over the show yesterday, without a care in the world, might perhaps have struck it, but we'll have to see. James has gone with Lauren, Jackie and Trishala to go and have a look. We'll wait and see. We'll see what happens. What that means is, for now, I'm going to be driving round and round and round quarantine clearings. This morning, very optimistic. You say that you think perhaps it has rained 31 milliliters. That would be a lot. You know what? You're probably correct in that certain areas it probably did rain that much. When I looked out over at the skies yesterday, I noticed that it was, in some places, the sky looked, well, I was going to say menacing or ominous. Something along those lines. I've told Lauren that she has to learn the word scudding to describe the clouds going across the sky, because she's not a proper wild earth guide if she doesn't know the word scudding. It's something we all abuse tremendously. But I suspect you're right. I suspect somewhere. Anna Marie, you guessed 16. You know, it's a little bit unfair of me, although I think the Djuma Cam was the Djuma Cam up during the storm last night?
I think so, but not so.
No, right, of course. Sorry, I'm talking absolute nonsense. Of course it wasn't, because there was no power. That's right. I've got a memory like a goldfish. I'd already forgotten that. So, there was no power. So it's a bit of an unfair question, because you've got no idea what it looked like last night. I'll show you what the puddle looks like outside of Inger's, and you can draw your own conclusion. Oh, who's excited for a bullfrog fight? I am. I don't think they're in this puddle over here, but you never know. We might get lucky with a bullfrog at some point. Takes me way back to post-Dineo. You know, Brent remembers, it's funny how we remember things differently. Brent remembers that during Dineo we got 2 mils of rain. I know it wasn't as dramatic as we expected. That was a cyclone about 2 years ago. Cyclone. By the time it hit us, it was a bit of a storm. I could swear that it was a bit more than that. It wasn't dramatic and it didn't flood, but I really thought it was more than that. But maybe I have misremembered. Right, here's the puddle. This puddle always looks worse than it is, or at least it looks more full than it is, than the... Wait, let's rephrase this. It does not truly reflect accurately the amount of rain that we received, because it is a proper drainage point for most of quarantine, so it all gathers on this patch of road. That is what I'm trying to say, and in fact could probably use a mitre drain. And would you look at that? One happy blacksmith lapwing, thinking, oh, here's a sensible place to make a nest next to the water, right in the middle of the road. There is a squirrel going absolutely nuts. But I've just driven around the entire quarantine clearing, so don't think it's at anything I haven't seen. You never know. Well, apparently more rain is on its way, but let us wait and see what the rain gauges tell us about the amount that it has rained. I'm going to attempt to get to the hyena den. Meanwhile, the Mara is sunny in comparison to Juma's gloom, and of course David's sunny smile just makes it better.
Jumbo Jumbo, and a very warm welcome to the Mara Triangle, and good luck, Jamie, at the hyena den. Hopefully going to see some hyenas there. And talking of rains in South Africa, it was the same case here in East Africa. We had massive rains last night, maybe not as heavy, but we had some nice, good showers. And you can see from the clouds there, they're still very thick, an indication that the rains might continue. Well, we're very excited to have you this morning, and as usual, my name is David, and with me this morning is Manu. A very good morning, Manu. How are you feeling? Are you excited? Give me one reason why you're excited.
It's a nice morning and we have a secretary back.
Very good. Very good. Manu says he's excited because we got a secretary bird on this. But it's just lovely. Remember our drive. Questions, send them through using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. I'm sure Jamie must have said that. Or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. Now, it looks warm for me, but it feels pretty cold. We are talking of 15 degrees Celsius and 59 degrees Fahrenheit. For me, it reminds me of the month of July. July is the time we talk of mid-10s or 12, 13, 14. But 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit in the month of December, it's rather unusual. That to me translates to the rainfall that we're having currently. Well, these birds are always, or in general, in pairs. At the moment, I only see one, and you can tell, just like me, she's a bit cold, and she got her head and neck tucked in her body. And secretary bird, we call them the hunter's bird because they're always on the ground. Secretary is, I think, an Arabic word. It is a French corruption of Arabic word secretaire, which means a hunter's bird. Long feathers they got, as much as, yeah, the head out. Very good. Look at the feathers sticking out behind her head. And I would want to guess the other pair must be on that tree somewhere, either nesting. They prefer normally very tall trees, and I think Manu thinks she or he could be hiding somewhere there. They're the only birds. In general, you'll always, once in a while you see one at a time, but in general they go in twos. And I've seen this particular bird here a number of times. So either they got a nest here, they could be having chicks or eggs, and as the day breaks, they'll just fly down and spend the rest of the day foraging for food, either looking for snakes, any insects they'll be able to get. They're very good hunters, as the name suggests, the secretary bird, and you'll see them pouncing on snakes on the ground. It's time to groom yourself and be ready for the day. They do fly, but not as much. Sometimes I call them ground eagles because it's 90% of their time they're always walking in the grass, small little bushes, looking for rodents, mice, rats. Some of the eagles that have the longest legs, I would guess. I'm trying to remember any other eagles such long legs. Paula, a very good morning, and you say you love this bird. I agree with you 100%, Paula. It's very unique when you think of it. Oh, Paula, I'm sure we all know how eagles look like, and its closest cousins are eagles. You tell, she looks unique in every way. The tall legs, the toes, and the black miniskirt we say they have, the white or the greyish blouse they'll have, and how they got their feathers sticking behind their head. I'm trying to imagine of any other bird that will have, feathers sticking out of their head. I can't remember at the moment. But, which one? Yeah, Manu is talking of the long-crested eagle. I think it's true, long-crested eagle. And if you compare the two, these ones have more feathers. Look at those feathers, because the long-crested eagle, man, you're right. Unless she shoots, the crest or the feathers out, these ones are always out, and in general, looking very colorful. Which other one you go? Crown cranes, Manu, you think? We're also thinking of crown cranes, but I still want to challenge Manu and agree with Paula that the secretary birds still come out shining when it comes to the beauty around their head. Well, the eastern horizon looks very colorful, as Manu is trying to show us. Look at all the beautiful clouds. And the sun is trying to push up. Still a bit early for the sun to be out. But look at those dark clouds there, which I'm sure will give us some silver lining later in the day. The last few days, the amount of rains we have received has been like every half an hour, 1 hour, but it's not as heavy. But those clouds there tell me we could be having a storm later in the day. It was massive last night, and I think it's time to move on. My plans today is to follow a particular pride of lions that I love, and I call them the sausages. So what I'm doing, I am going to the Sausage Republic. I saw them last night, and they had a kill, they had a buffalo they had killed, and I got a feeling they will not go very far from that buffalo, and they might go last night maybe, and today better part of the day without hunting, but hopefully later in the day they'll be looking for some food, or even maybe tonight. Still a bit cold. I still have my Masai shuka on just to maintain my temperatures, just like that secretary bird up there. And as usual, on our way to the Sausage Republic, we are bound to see a lot of game. Elephants are possible candidates. Buffaloes, most likely. I've always noticed between here and the Sausage Republic, we drive through an area that was burnt and have so many Thompson gazelles. And yesterday, from a distance, a friend of mine told me saw a cheetah, which we believed was Kakenya. And cheetahs have been quite elusive the last few days. And I would be happy, before I get to the Sausage Republic, if we could meet Kakenya. Alrighty. See some ellies from a distance. Ooh. Man, hold for yourself. Linda, I'm going to give you a high five from Africa. Thank you very much. And you say I got the best shuka in the world. Thank you very much. Green is beautiful color, and I've always thought from my office or from where I work is always green, and maybe possibly if we human beings could have a green world, either here in Africa or wherever you come from, Linda. Thank you so very much. All right, Linda, because of your great comment of my shuka, I might give you some nice present in the morning, and I might show you some elephants. Stick there in a few seconds, and once Manu will tell me when and where to stop, I'll give you something back for your great comment on my shukas, or on my Masai shuka. Manu, keep going, or do you want to stop? Keep going, all right. And the elephants this morning might look a bit different, a little dark, just because of the rains. They have been washed. They look very clean, but they look black at the same time. And Manu suggested I got the right place there. All right, that's good for you, Manu. All right, Linda, hope you're watching this nice herd of elephants here. And if you look at them carefully, they look pretty dark, but they blend in pretty well with the kind of light we have. The light hasn't pushed up so much, but still, to me, I thought it's very colorful. Beautiful sky in the background there, and most of the trees you see around those alleys are the torchwood trees. A few calves in that herd, and you notice they don't look as grey as they normally look, because all that soil, soil around this area has been washed down, so they look rather dark, and you might think they're different species of elephants, but they're the same African elephant that we have. Slow eating at the moment because it's still pretty cool, and not a lot of flapping on their ears, which they normally use to regulate their body temperatures. So they might go for maybe a minute or two before even they do a flap or flick their ears. And during hot days, it is every few seconds. They keep opening and closing them just to lower the body temperature, so just regulate it. Ramoa, you're talking about elephants smelling different when it's dry and when it's wet. I want to think so. I would say yes, they do. They're some of the most intelligent animals I know. And like the other day, it was rather dry before the short rains that we have now started. And they realized a few ponds of water and springs were drying up. And we saw them going to a riverbed that was pretty dry, and they dug themselves some water. So they do smell, and they can tell when it's wet and when it's dry. More, I can tell you, yes, they do that, and they are pretty intelligent animals. They may not drink a lot now, as much as, you know, they'll always once in a while go to any watering point for a drink. But now the grass is pretty wet, a lot of dew on the grass, so they will be having both food and drinking at the same time, or having water because the grass is full of moisture. So they might spend less time walking to watering point, be it rivers or springs or wells. The grass may look pretty dry, but below that tall dry grass you see there's some nice shoot of grass that have come up because of the rains. It's a little calf, very young, following the herd there. And one of these elephants here is definitely the matriarch. And you can see how the tusks come out. I think the rains, because, I mean, they get rained on as it rains. They'll not seek for shelter. In general, the tusks also get very cleaned. And they are sparkling white. Thank you, Manu, for showing us the tusks there. And it's just so peaceful where we are and where the elephants are. And sometimes, depending on the instructions from the commander or from the matriarch, the leader of these elephants, you notice now they are coming much closer than before. Sometimes always very difficult to tell who is the matriarch here, but we have always believed it's always the oldest female that will be leading the group. Dory, pretty good question. Have I ever seen an elephant giving birth? Not really, but I have seen an elephant that I think had just given birth a couple of minutes after. They tend to go to very quiet places and very, I would say, covered areas. And if one is just about to drop its calf, you get most of the females or most of the members in the herd surrounding the one that's just about to give birth. I have never seen, I have always tried to, but I have seen one that I guess was just maybe 5-10 minutes after it was dropped. Manu, have you ever seen one? Well, Manu also says he hasn't seen one, but you never know. It could be today. Buffaloes we have seen, zebras we have seen, and lots of plains game we have seen. I think maybe a very difficult mission would be a rhino. An elephant, I would say, is very possible. We'll always see them out in the open, but I don't even remember a friend of mine or a colleague who tell me, have ever seen a rhino give birth. But you know, sometimes is timing, bang there. So giraffes I have seen, buffaloes I've seen, zebras, toppies. The other day I saw a Thompson gazelle when the baby was just literally just dropped like that. But unfortunately I was not live to give a segment. Yeah, elephants I've not seen. Okay, time to head out. And it's time to go to my friends and hopefully gonna see them. But in the meantime, I'll take you back to South Africa to Lauren and say hello to all of you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Lauren, and today the weather is not unlike the weather from my home country. Look at the skies. They are thick with these grey clouds, and it's actually a little bit chilly. I do regret not wearing my fleece today. However, I will brave it. I should be used to these temperatures. So we were in a bit of a rough patch with signal earlier. However, we're back and we're going to do our best to look for some cats of the spotty variety. It's been a while since I personally have seen any big cats, so that's what we're hoping for. But if not, we will keep our eyes out for anything else exciting. Obviously the sun is not present, so it does make things that little bit trickier to spot, but we will do our best. We're going to continue on with our journey towards Treehouse Dam and see what we can find down there. So you can let us know what you would like to see on this drab grey day with that hashtag SafariLive, but I do believe Miss Jamie has something a little bit more exciting than I do. Let's go across to her.
I do, but just give me 1 second. Sorry, everybody's vying for my attention this morning. AFM tax, but although the cubs are out, there's no mothers around, so I'm going to leave. Right. Oh, sorry. No negative, the cubs are out, they are here, but the mothers aren't here, so I'm going to pull out. Sorry. My sincerest apologies. Right, as you can see, the hyena cubs are out and about. The reason that they were out and about was because Tsaka was here. He was wandering around the entrance to the den. But as you all know, when the mothers are not here, we don't spend time with the cubs on their own, because Tsaka's actually left. He's moved away. I don't know where the mothers are. It's hugely inconvenient on a number of levels, but still wonderful to see that they are still here and that they survived the cold weather. Now, I said I've got to leave the den sighting, but I can't, because Corky's little one and Pretty's little one are sniffing at my tyres. You can just see a little bottom there. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, did you get a fright? I know, Indigo Girl, isn't it amazing how much they've grown? They have got so much bigger. That's Pretty's little one. Now, I agree completely with James's assessment that the larger one is a female. We're going to have to do a double check on this one. I'm pretty sure he's correct about it being male as well. But we'll double check and see when we eventually get the opportunity. Eventually get the opportunity. Corky, Pretty? Either of you listening? You know? Yes, no? Okay, good. Go to bed, little cub. Go to bed. It's much safer when your mommy's not here. All right, we'll go do a quick loop. I'm not losing hope that the den could still be active, because of course it is cool this morning, so all of the rules go out of the window. Not my rules though, my rules stay. Right, so there's no one else? No. It's what I used to do in the Mara with the North Clan cubs, because they were just, with 10 of them, it was impossible to keep track of which one was where. So I taught them that if I slammed my foot on the floor of the vehicle, it meant I was moving. They didn't move eventually. Beard, no, they don't leave behind a babysitter. Although, what I noticed in the Mara, and I'm not sure how true this is of Juma, in the Mara, when you were at the den, even in the middle of the day, sorry, Seb, you're going to get a bit damp from those leaves, I noticed that there was always an adult hyena within about... I'm just listening to Aubrey. They are... Sorry, I'm getting updates about line tracks at the same time. Okay, going west towards power lines. Okay. Cool. I'm going to go along Zoe's road is what I'm going to do. Not sure where Lauren is, or if she's getting those updates. I know she's a little bit closer. Okay, so I was talking about babysitters, and in the Mara I noticed that there was always an adult somewhere around. With the Juma clan, that doesn't seem to be the case, but it's a bit more difficult to know, because there's quite a sort of, you know, the bush is that much denser. It's difficult to know if there's any clan members around. What I learned from Ribbon and from Pretty and Corky was that they spend a lot of time either in this drainage line here off Ingwe Alley, which is just about 150 meters or so, and then, or else they go to the drainage line, which is Tingana's favorite drainage line, off Elephant Carcass. Okay, Seb, that does explain why we saw running tracks all over quarantine. The lions walked straight across there, just further to the north of where we were checking. So that would explain why we could see absolute chaos this morning in the dirt. Panic! Impala spraying dirt everywhere, wildebeest running. Let's just have a look along Rebecca's. Oh. Cool. Oh dear. Hold on. It's all gone wrong. There we go. Just throw it away. That'll make Brent very happy. I'm driving his car. Copy that, Orbs. I'm on Rebecca's road now. I'll just go along Rebecca's and then check the southern end of Zoe's, just in case they cut south. Okay, so apparently the Nkuhumas wandered along across Quarantine and towards Zoe's road. So I'm hoping to break a slight spell of bad luck that I've had over the past few drives. While I do that, let us send you back across to David in the Mara. He's been a lot more productive with his time. I'm sure at some point before the end of the safari he'll find the sausages.
Well, good luck, and hopefully we're going to see lots of cats this morning. And the eastern horizon here is looking much brighter than a few minutes ago, and the sun is trying to push up. Maybe another couple of minutes it'll be out, and this is what I call a golden moment in Africa. And I have always said I have two golden moments, one in the morning and one in the evening. So this is my very first one, and I'm sure all of you will agree this is my golden moment, or our golden moment from this part of the world. Three different shades of colors there, the tree line there, the canopy of the dark trees there, and part of the horizon. That the cherry on the cake is the sun rays pushing through the horizon with all beautiful colors. And I'm imagining any other part of the world where people now could be going to bed with the sunset. And here, our lovely morning is starting. I've always thought I would always sit somewhere on top of a tree every morning with a cup of tea and just look at that beauty. We just now need a huge elephant walking across there, man, right? Or a big bird like an ostrich, maybe. You know, it could be anything in the open grassland of the savannah. And speaking of the devil, Manu have just put an ostrich. Well done. Not sure most of these birds, and especially the ostrich, will care about the beauty of the sunrise there. And this is called a Maasai ostrich. It's a male. And the last few weeks they have been not really dirty, but you could not tell the black from the white because of all the mud that have been on the soil. But now with the rains, you can tell the difference between the males and the females. All the black and white is quite conspicuous. What else did you spot, Manu? So that was a male Maasai ostrich. And there could be some nice bird there. And I think this is a roller. Well done. Apparently, this is my favorite bird of all the birds of this size in Africa, and it's called the lilac-breasted roller. She's just trying to reposition herself to see as the day breaks. She can see on the ground for any beetles or any insects. That's how they tend to feed. Exactly, Kasa is pretty beautiful against the sky. Definitely, I just hope she can move to the side with the sunrise. I have always said this is the most photographed bird, to me, most photographed bird, the whole of Africa. It's very popular with photographers, many tourists, and I think I'm also number one, and most likely because of her wonderful and different colors that she got. There she flies. Did you hawk something? She just behaved like a bee-eater. Bee-eater have been known just to fly in the air and hook on any flying insect. The rollers might do the same. called rollers because of how they roll in the air. And actually, even when they mate, they'll also mate while rolling in the air. So many colors she got. Pretty small bird, but we have watched she got like anything 5, 6, 7 different colors. And as you saw in flight, wonderful, beautiful bird. Somewhat has been claimed by many African countries as their national birds, Kenya being one of them, and also Botswana. I'm not sure which other country, but I think 3 or 4 countries have said the lilac-breasted roller is their national bird. Very vocal when it gets irritated, for example, by big eagles, for example, or big raptors, but that will feed on these small ones. Hello, lilac. Won't show us your wings? So they are always very patient, and any time they catch a bit or an insect for themselves, they fly down. Sorry, I missed that question, Casti. Gecko, you're asking how do we tell the difference between all the rollers here, and that's a very good question. Most of them have different colors. I'm just trying to fish my book somewhere. They got different colors. We got this, we got another roller, as a little noisy they're trying to get. My book is not very far, and you also got purple roller in flight there. How beautiful is that? Well done, Manu. So it's very simple. It's just the colors. Very good job there, Manu. It's just the colors, and that's how we differentiate them. Very good. She just patched there again. Maybe you're going to be looking for more insects from there. So colors and size are basically what we do to tell them apart. Colors and size is what we do to tell them apart. Ooh, good flight. And back to the same place she was. I don't know whether she caught something for herself. So it's colors and size, and sometimes you tell there are differences in flight. So that's the lilac-breasted roller, and I want to show you a few other rollers that we also got here in Kenya. And we got, how is that, Manu? Good? Topmost there, number 1 there, we call that the broad-billed roller. This one to me is one of the largest in size, and as I said, colors are what we use to tell the differences. And then we got another one here that's called the Abyssinian roller. That's number 2. Am I good, Manu? That's number 2. But we also got some that come in and go that we call polyarctic, and one of them is the Eurasian, and that is number 3 there. This is the Eurasian there. They'll always come. And if you look at carefully, it's different from the number 1 and from the number 2. But again, the number 4, which we just saw, is this one here. And that's the lilac-breasted roller, which we see most of the time. You go to other parts of Africa, you might see another roller like in Zimbabwe called the racket roller. Well, I think Jamie might be having something unusual.
I am having something unusual. I have a snake for you. That's very exciting, isn't it? It's the joy of the rainy season, is that we get to see all sorts of unusual things. In this case, I only just managed to discern, okay, it was stretched out. It wasn't curled up like this. I only just managed to pick it out on the road. It looked a little bit like a stick, at which point we did a mad swerve, and now we can still have a look at it. Fortunately, it is not a flat snake. We have to pay a lot more attention at this time of year to where we're driving. Now, what species of snake is it? Here's the fun part. There are 2 species of snakes that look very, very similar. There is something called a stiletto snake, and there is something called a purple-glossed snake. Now, a purple-glossed snake, which can grow much larger than this, so can a stiletto though, so this could be a baby, is completely harmless. The stiletto snake, on the other hand, is, well, not. Probably not going to kill you if it bites you. It's got a sort of nasty cytotoxic venom. You could end up potentially, if you don't have very good circulation for whatever reason, or if you just react badly to the venom, you could find yourself with a very nasty infection, and you could lose a finger or a toe or wherever it bites you. Now, typically, the reason that people get bitten by stiletto snakes is they mistake them for purple gloss snake, and they go to catch them in the way that people catch snakes, which, of course, we don't advise that any of you do, unless you are a trained professional, but they go to grab them behind the head. The unfortunate part of that is that the stiletto snake has side-facing fangs. So, although it looks like it should be safe, it ultimately ends up with a nasty bite. Now, I'm pretty certain that this is a purple glossed snake and not a stiletto snake, now that I'm seeing its head. It's actually a very pretty snake, I think you'll all agree. It is a nocturnal snake species, so the reason that we're seeing it now is that it's come out after the rain. So I'm almost certain it's not a stiletto snake. They also tend... to... Sorry, I was listening to the Game Drive radio at the same time. They also tend to have slightly paler bellies, although not always. You've got to be so careful with colour and snakes, because you do get different colour variations. But the scales on the top of the head are, to me, what gives it away as a purple gloss snake. Am I confident enough to go and grab it behind the head and show you? No. But I wouldn't do that anyway, even if it were a purple gloss snake, because we only touch snakes where we have to. We have to move them away, where they pose a threat to the person or people around them. So that's the only time that we'll interfere with a snake. My only question is that scale on the top of the nose looks very fused. You know what's quite frustrating is that I don't have my snake book with me. I want to double check the scale count of the purple gloss snake versus the stiletto snake, because every snake has a different combination of, or layout of, scales on their heads. Now, Grateful Dad, what a lovely, lovely name. Grateful Dad wants to know how long the snake is. It's about a foot. For those of you who don't know what that means, because you work in metric and not imperial, that is, how long is a foot again? I've just dug myself such a hole. It's 12 inches. Foot is 12 inches, is it?
I have no idea.
I panicked. Help! I've forgotten. Yeah, I think it's 12 inches. Cool. Thank you very much. Kirsty says 1 foot is 30 centimeters. Marvelous. Thank you, Kirsty. Yes, it is 12 inches. Phew. I thought I was going crazy for a second. Okay, all right. Everybody calm down. It's around about 30 centimeters long, which is about a foot. You can see it there using its tongue to taste the scents of the air. Mara, you say that the snake does not seem to slither. Well, I think it kind of is slithering. It's just slithering really slowly. It's a slow motion slither. A slother, if you will. Now, that derailed me from what I was going to talk about, which, of course, was the tongue. Now, that tongue flickering, most of you will know, but for our newer viewers who haven't seen snakes before, a snake has a highly developed organ in the top of its mouth known as the Jacobson organ. And it is a true Jacobson organ, or vomeral nasal organ. Now, what it does, and the reason that most snakes have forked tongues, is it allows them to taste smells. Now, being able to taste smells is a fantastic advantage because they can taste trails in the air. It's one of the main ways in which they locate their prey, and of course any potential threats as well, and how they navigate. Now, the fork in the tongue allows them to taste direction of smells. So you know how you have one ear on either side of your head and they are slightly offset, they're not perfectly in line with each other. That is so that you can hear the direction of sound. A forked tongue is kind of does that in order for you to, or in order for the snake to be able to smell direction. A concept which is completely alien to our human brains and almost impossible for us to comprehend with our greatly reduced senses. Quite a pretty snake in the sun. Looks quite sinister now because there's no light shining on it, so it looks sort of... There you go, look, it's slithering. Slither, slither, slither. Good, it must slither off the road, where it cannot fool another person into thinking it's a stick. Main source of prey? Frogs. Some of the insects that you get out here. Tam Tam, are these snakes aggressive? No. Most snakes are not, by definition, aggressive. Every single snake will try and move out of your way if you happen to encounter it. There are some exceptions, but most of them will try and move out of the way. Sorry. They've found the Nkuhumas. I just want to call in. Well done, Orbs. I'd like to make my way and join you if that's okay. Riding off the achievements of others, everyone. He's found the Nkuhumas on a kill, and that's where we're going to go. That's where we're going to go. I was on my way to help Aubrey, so I don't feel too guilty. I was actually contributing in my own meager way. Goodbye, snake. I will conclude my discussion on snake aggression at another time. For now, I need to go racing off to the Nkuhumas on a kill. While I do that and while I get there, Lauren has found a bird that presumably will be joining the Nkuhumas a bit later.
Yes, indeed. If the Nkuhumas are making a kill, this vulture here, which is a white-backed vulture, will indeed join at some point, I would imagine. So you can see it's grooming at the moment, way at the top of this dead tree, quite a distance from us. But white-backed vultures are normally one of the first to Oh, can you hear that argument that's going on between these Egyptian geese nearby? Yes, you can. I think boy and girl are having a little argument here. Anyway, glad you could hear that. So white-backed vultures are normally the first to a kill, and they're normally the most numerous and very frantic and noisy when they get there. So as soon as this vulture was to get wind, if you like, that there is a carcass available, it will definitely be on its way. So it's cold at the moment, as I think I've already mentioned. I'm not the warmest, and it's not really able to fly right now. So vultures normally wait until it gets a little bit warmer, where they can use the thermals to begin flying and soaring way high in the sky. And of course, they rely on their eyesight to find things. They have incredible eyesight and they can spot for kilometers. And therefore, once they're up there, they'll have a look around for any food, especially carcasses, and they will dive right in. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what Jamie has, to see if there is a carcass and if the vultures do arrive. So let's go and see what is making all this racket that you can hear. Here we go. Looks like we have a boyfriend and girlfriend who are just consistently arguing at the moment. I wonder what they're arguing over. Hey guys. So this is a pair of Egyptian geese. You cannot escape the noise. It's very noisy, and they're obviously next to a little natural pool of water. Can you just repeat that question? Sorry, Kirst. Oh, I thought that's what you said. Yes, Jared. We don't get Egyptian geese in Scotland, I'm afraid, because these guys are really beautiful. But we do get geese, and they are equally as noisy. There is a huge pond near my house, and there's lots of ducks, geese and swans, and it is a really noisy area. But no, we don't get Egyptian geese. And look at the markings on these guys. They're really beautiful, hence the name Egyptian geese. And since we've got them in view, they've obviously gone quiet. But I can assure you their argument was pretty vicious earlier. Now you can hear these geese from quite a distance away, and you can easily identify them by that noise. So there's quite a lot of birds around us right now. Even if we just listen, there's such a chorus of bird calls around. It's the morning time, so everything's waking up and everything is talking and communicating. So I can hear one bird, which is the red-billed buffalo weaver. Something like that. I'm getting good at imitating my bird calls. Still need to work on them for sure. Let's see if we can get you this right. Oh, look at the nest here. So we know it should be in there somewhere. You can see these big, messy nests. Very typical of the buffalo weavers. But we can't see the bird. Where are you making all this noise? We can hear you, but we can't see you. David. Okay, I can do my buffalo weaver. Can I do the Egyptian goose call? I've got a chorus of laughs in the back of me here. Yes, I think that was very good as well. I hope you enjoyed that, David. I've got my woodland kingfisher nailed, but the other birds, I think I need to work on them. I've got a 10 out of 10. Thank you. But I think I'll stop with the bird calls for now. So I'm going to continue on our journey. I did say earlier that we're looking for a spotted cat. So obviously Jamie's going for another cat variety, but we are going to look for the spotted version. So we need to continue on our journey. Oh, so while we search and search hard, looking for some lions.
Well, it's time to keep searching, and I am also searching, but I've stayed in the middle of the road because I'm getting very close to the place I wanted to be, and this is the Sausage Republic area. Now, the area I was talking about on the left here is the area I was saying it's always the burnt area where, if you're lucky, we'll always see cheetahs. But the whole reason for seeing cheetahs here is because the Thompson gazelles also happen to love this particular area. Sorry, Manu, to ambush you there. But this is very good country for the cheetahs. And you have always seen once in a while Kakenya. Kakenya is one of the cheetahs you have been following here. And another one called Naratoi. And if you got here, that's Thompson gazelle. And this is a favorite food for the cheetahs. Time to have a wee break. It's a big boy. Oops, what are you doing? You don't got the right position to do your business. And definitely he's just protecting his territory where he is. He is all alone. I don't see any other Thompson gazelle close to him. Of course, Tommies have much bigger horns than the females, the males. Flicking the tails as usual. More of leaf flax than flies. We'll look for any grass that's pretty green. Are you sniffing something? Nothing of interest. So this is an area I would not be surprised to see a cheetah. We're just going to move on and just hold our luck Yesterday, they said there was Kenya that was spotted not very far from where we are. This could be another day to see her. Okay, no need to move. And also there's a clan of hyenas that's called the Happy Zebra Clan that lives in this area. We might see some on the way to the sausages. Warming up a little bit than before now, which is good. But at the moment, it's very quiet here. A few weeks ago, this area was filled with wildebeests and zebras. But I think now almost all of them have gone further south towards north of Tanzania, as I would say, to Serengeti National Park. Well, James Richard, thank you very much, and let's all do that, and hopefully we'll find a cheetah today. Yesterday, James Richard, Kenya was spotted from a distance, my friend told me, and I would have wanted to see if she was pregnant or not. But my friend did not know or did not see very well. She was in a very rocky area and she kept going further away from where my friend could drive to. So yeah, James Richard, stay tuned. And should I hear of news of a cheetah today, I might maybe even forget the sausages and go for the cheetah. So let's all close fingers together, keep our eyes open, because you never know. We're in the right country. We have enough of the cheetah's food. I'm talking about the Thompson gazelles. So there's no reason why we should not spot them. Every few minutes, every few seconds, say, look, I'm just seeing Tommies, and cheetahs prefer this kind of flat country. And it's so green here, which is very good grass for the Tommies. Cheetah, where are you? Of the sausage lions that I'm going to search today, which are always 5 females, there is 1 female that we have not seen for the last 3 days. And we've got a feeling now she must have popped up her cubs, and she could be somewhere denning them before she brings them out. And I would estimate 5, 6, maybe 7 days, or after a week, going to the 2nd week, she might bring them out. Well, I'll continue searching, but in the meantime, we'll take you back again to South Africa.
Back in South Africa, the lions are feasting on something. No idea what it is. Got quite a large rib cage, that's all I can tell you. So there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Nkuhumas. I am beyond confused as to which portion of the pride this is. We'll have to wait and see if we can recognize individuals that are here. Apparently, the Nkuhumas that we've been seeing, the rest of the pride was on Simbambili at that point, and then they disappeared for a few days. So this pride really has been quite split up. Just a quick point, you will see that there are other vehicles in the sighting. That is because we owe this sighting to Tax and Aubrey. They found it for us, and there are guests here that come to see these special animals. So, oh dear, my Game Drive radio keeps giving off the emergency alarm, or somebody's does. I don't think it's mine. Let me just stop it beeping in my ear quickly. Nope, it's not mine. Someone else is SOSing by mistake. Is that talking? No, it's you not hearing that, Sam? Okay, no, it's the Game Drive radio. Okay, cool. So, awesome news. We've got lions once again. We've been struggling to find them over the past few days. Now, it's interesting to see the way that the dynamics have played out with the Nkuhumas over the past few weeks. They, of course, have the company of 2 mangy Mangeni males, as well as 2 Talamati males, although it's usually only 1. So it really is very confusing, and if you can't keep track, please don't stress. I can barely keep track either. It's got a little bit confusing because it's a zebra. There we go. I see a little bit of stripe there. We hardly ever see zebra, so I'm very impressed that they managed to find one. It's good news for them because a zebra kill is a healthy sized meal for 5 lionesses. Definitely a zebra. Alex, funnily enough, is exactly what I was thinking. Alex wants to know if there are any hyenas around. Nope. We haven't seen any of them yet. They are... Apparently, we drove past our tech team this morning and they said that they saw a hyena close to camp. I'm wondering if it's not Corky on her way back. The thing about the Djuma clan is that they don't seem to have the numbers to challenge lions. We hardly ever see it happen. It's very, very rare. Alright, one thing I can tell you is that these lions are very much in demand this morning. So at some point we'll have to leave them and then hopefully we'll be able to come back to them before the end of the sunrise safari. So what we do for our newer viewers, what we do to ensure that the animals are not over-pressurized is that we make sure that we only ever have 3 vehicles in a sighting at absolute maximum. Sometimes if something's happening, we'll reduce that to 2. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll either make it a 1 vehicle sighting or we'll close the sighting completely if there's something happening that's too sensitive to allow tourists into the area, or not tourists, but vehicles into an area. But this is a perfectly relaxed sighting, which means that there'll be 3 vehicles here, but there are a number of people that are waiting to come and join us. So we will step back since Tax and Aubrey did all of the hard work in terms of finding the animals. We'll take a step back, we'll pull out, and then we'll come back. Only 1 lioness left feeding. As you can see, they have devoured it, but it's very, very fresh. Probably in the last, I would say the last 2 hours, they caught this zebra. Even though it's almost all gone. Orbs, I'll pull out for him when he gets a bit closer. Yeah, I'm sure. No problem, we can come back later. Thanks, Orbs. Alright, I'm just letting Aubrey know that since he did all the hard work and I know they've been struggling to get their guests lions, we will pull out first and then we will return back. Now, Aubrey and Taxon are critical to the work that we do out here. We have an exceptionally good relationship with them. They have been helpful to all members of the Wild Earth team. So where we can help, we absolutely will. And because I know that you guys are so understanding, I'm sure that you will appreciate why we'll leave them and then come back in a little bit. Good morning, Isabella. You say that it's weird that there aren't any vultures yet. Not really, if you think about it. I said that the zebra kill was probably 2 hours old. I could be wrong about that. It might be even older. But vultures don't really fly around at night. And they also struggle to fly around on cold and cloudy days. They're heavy birds. They need the thermals. So the vultures don't know that this is here. They haven't discovered it yet because they haven't taken to the skies yet. It only got light about 2 hours ago. And certainly not warm enough for a big, bulky bird like a vulture to fly. Oh, they're looking good. That lioness is in such good condition. I mean, obviously she's full, but you can see the muscles around her legs. She just looks healthy at the moment. Everything about her. That's really good news. It's a relief to see a pride that we have a soft spot for looking as good as they're looking. Craig, just let me know when you're close to the Gallagher Shortcut Junction. I'll pull out for you. Now what she's doing now is using her rough, rasping tongue to clear away the flesh from the bones. Our lion's jaws, of course, perfectly adapted for what they are designed to do. Now she's using her incisors every now and again, but ultimately, in terms of the lion's arsenal of weapons, or I don't know what you call them, tools of their trade, perhaps, the incisors are probably the least important teeth. They use them for grooming, and then they sometimes use them to nibble on meat. But of course, incisors are the more shallow-rooted of the teeth. So they don't really... If a lion loses an incisor, it's not too much of a problem. They have 6 at the top, 6 at the bottom. But what is important for a lion when it's feeding like this is the molars, which forms a carnassial shear, which basically acts like a pair of scissors to slice through the meat, which is exactly what she's doing. She's doing it with her head behind the rib cage, though, which is a little bit inconvenient. I wish I knew which collection of Nkuhumas. You know, sometimes the challenge of finding animals is partly what makes our job incredibly stimulating and rewarding. But sometimes I wish that I could sort of take a step back, as it were, and just know where the other lines are and know what the breakdown is. Because of the way that we do things, which is, I mean, the way it should be done, but because of the way we do things, our knowledge of what's going on with them is piecemeal at best. We try and give you as much information as we can from the other guides as well, so that if they're on a neighboring property, they'll let us know what they're up to. But it's been something of a mystery to all of us. Now, a lot of people have been questioning whether or not they've actually split permanently, which I don't think is the case. I think that they will come back together once again. Now, Child of the Universe, you want to know if each of the Nkuhuma adults have names. They have identifying features. We haven't really given them names, but let me show you what Nikki Austin produced. It's looking really good, Seb. Ugh. Ugh. Not my car, not my ID kit. This is what Nikki's produced for the 5 adult lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride. There's the oldest female. We knew her as Greyface. When Nikki and I used to talk about her a lot, we knew her as Greyface, the oldest female. And then she's the one with the injury on her hip. Then there's the ridge-nosed female. She was the one that was mating, apparently, and thank you for that info. Oopsie, sorry, with the evoker when Rusty did his interview. And then we have this one separate, when we have the lioness who has been apparently nicknamed Purple Eye. She's the one that's blind in her right eye. And then, of course, there's Amber Eyes. Here she is. Pretty girl. And then there's the female who doesn't really have a name. We've been always calling her the youngest Nkuhuma lioness, but of course that's not going to apply once the sub-adults are at that point where they're considered adults. But that's the 5 adult lionesses. Now, putting together something like this does take quite a bit of time and work. It's what we've done or attempted to do for most of the Mara lions that we see regularly, and of course it helps us to keep track of the Nkuhuma lionesses. But now, having said that, it gets a bit tricky. I thought I saw the purple-eyed lioness, but I didn't. Where? Kirsty says she thinks. Oh, hold on. Let's just let the lioness drag. I think Kirsty's seeing the road up in front of me, unless I've massively missed something. You just watch this lioness dragging the zebra into a more convenient spot. Here's one of the sub-adults moving in. I thought I saw the sub-adult male, but I was clearly mistaken because he's not here. The Nkuhuma male. Hey, pretty cat. Assumption that these are Nkuhumas. There's always a possibility that they are, in fact, well, not Nkuhumas.
That one is the one with the blind eye.
Is that the one with the blind eye?
That one, I think, yes.
I haven't. Let's see if she turns to face us, which would be far too convenient to expect. Could see the Talamartes. It is a possibility. It's definitely not the sticks. And to be honest, it's been so long since I've spent a close time with the Nkuhumas. There's always the possibility I've made a mistake. I don't think so. I think this is them. Did you have to drag it all the way behind the bushes? Yes. Yes, you did. The lack of growling and competing over access to this carcass suggests to me... Let's see. No. You want to look at my eye? Well, you can't, because I'm going to shut it. The lack of growling to me suggests that they have actually... This wasn't their first meal of the night. I suspect they caught something quite small earlier, and they then have settled down. And they've caught something again, but they're not nearly as hungry as they were. Otherwise, even though there's very little left, there would have been absolute chaos. Mind you, they've finished it all off, so perhaps I'm mistaken about that. Pull! There she is, using those molars we spoke of. She's actually, what you'll find with lions is they will bite small bones, and they will actually be able to crush small bones. So consuming bones is not purely something that hyenas do. Lions and leopards can do it as well. They just don't do it with the same proficiency. So the edge of the ribs will be chewed off, the cartilage around the ribs as well as any little bones that they can actually get to. The spinal processes will be gnawed, but not broken. And any little bits, every little bit of nutrition counts. What she's done there is she's actually peeled the skin away from the rib cage, and she's trying to get in towards the intercostal muscles. Here she's using a combination of tongue and incisors to pluck away. I really do wish I could take the bird's eye view. I don't know who keeps... Somebody's pressed their emergency alarm on this Game Drive radio, and it's going bleep, 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 bleep in my ear every few seconds. And I can't figure out who it is. I'm hoping nobody's actually in desperate trouble, although if they were, they could just pick up the radio. If they can press the emergency alarm, they can pick up the radio and call us. I think somebody's pressed it by mistake. Okay, cool. Thank you, Michael Fleetwood. Apparently the purple-eyed lioness is here, as is Amber Eyes, the youngest female, and the ridge-nosed female, as well as Floppy Ear's sister, Y2. Okay, cool. So it is the same group that we've been seeing recently, but then where have the males gone? They managed to ditch them. The ridge-nosed lioness was the one that was mating, so she's obviously managed to return. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. So they've managed to get rid of the males, somehow. I don't know where the males have gone now. It's so difficult to keep track of their movements. As I said, I wish I could just take a step back. Okay. All right, folks, I can hear a vehicle. Give me 1 second. Oh, you can make your way. I'll pull out for you now. Okay, copy. Now, just keep coming down Gallagher shortcut, you'll see us. All right, folks, and that concludes our Nkuhuma sighting for now. Never fear, we will be back towards the end of the sunrise safari. Sorry, lions. Just gotta find my way out of here. Alright, we'll be back. Hopefully they don't decide to move because it is quite cool. And there's plenty of water around, so they've got no reason to go all the way down to Gallagher Pan. They could actually decide to go wandering into Buffelshoek. Oh, which way did I come? This way. When we make our way into a sighting or out of a sighting, we try and ensure that we follow exactly the same vehicle tracks. And the reason that we do that is because it minimizes the impact that we have on the surrounding vegetation. So if we didn't do that, what you find, if a sighting's not controlled, is you get tracks absolutely everywhere. Okay, we are bidding farewell to our Nkuhuma lions. In the meantime, David has made good on his promise to find the sausages, or at least a sausage, but perhaps not the way you expect.
Very well done to hear, news of the Nkuhuma lions, and I haven't gotten to the sausages as yet. I haven't seen them, but what I've found is the sausage tree, and I would want to explain why we call them the sausages. This particular breed of lions have been known to climb this particular tree here, and this is one of the iconic trees of the Mara Triangle. And hanging there, the shape of the tree leaves green, they give very good shade to the sausages or to those lions. So they've been known to climb on top, and sometimes when the grass is rather tall here, and especially after the long rains, we'll always have so many flies in the grass, and lions or many cats get irritated by the flies, and what the sausage pride will from the fly. That's what we call them. The sausages is look for them. It could be anywhere here or that pan, and they have a very huge area from that big drop of the Oloro escarpment, and where I have always liked to call the Sausage Republic. They don't tend to be very far from here. They have controlled this area for a long time. They have really guarded it, and they haven't entertained any other pride or any other lions here. And 3 cubs in it, and 2 males that we think might have overthrown the coalition that was here that we used to call Kipuli, and the 2 males that came from a coalition that we call the Pike or Olndonyo Pike. So they had a buffalo kill, they said the other day, not very far from those trees you see there. So I want to swing on that side and find out if they're still there, because if they still have enough to eat and there's a small lager on that on those trees that have water, chances are they are still in the same area. So Manu, let's start work now. We need to open your eyes and find the sausages. And not very far from here, where I saw the cheetah yesterday, and we have always been having debate of the cheetahs having huge home ranges, and that brings in question the Mara Triangle and the Serengeti National Park. So we are never sure of we never know when we think we still have them, the cheetahs here, and we don't see them, or when actually they have gone to Serengeti and we don't see them. Susan, you're asking about one of the females in the sausage trip pride, whether it has cubs as yet. I would say, but this is a guess, I would say yes, because we haven't seen her for 3 days. And the last I saw her, she looked very big. Her belly was so huge and she couldn't even move very comfortably. So, and because we haven't seen her for 3 days, we think she might have gotten to an area and most likely drop down her cubs. But as soon as we know, we'll let you also know. So yesterday I saw 3. If I see 5, then I'll tell you I was wrong. I could be very wrong also. But if I see 4 and that one particular one is still missing, then it will make me believe the more that she has dropped her young ones. And until they're about 7 days or so, it's very difficult for them to be brought out. So we got 3 calves there, 3 months now, and we got 1 that's about 2 months. So where they had a huge buffalo kill. So maybe being so chilly, they could be right inside the lager, and as it warms up, they'll be coming out. Let's first take you back to Jamie for her update.
I have no update. I have driven approximately a kilometer from where you last saw me. I'm driving at quite high speed. The reason is I forgot my jacket and I'm quite cold. So I have begged permission from our wonderful, kind, generous, smart, witty director this morning, whose name is Kirsty, and she's just the best. I've asked her permission if I can go home and get my jacket. She said no. No, she didn't. She said with pleasure. So I'm actually nearly home, so bear with me. I won't be long. I will dash in. You get a quick behind-the-scenes glimpse into the camp so I can go and get my jacket. I hope it's in my car. You want to do a behind the scenes of FC? No, I have no idea. There's
a gap in those lats.
There's a gap in the lats?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, scheming. We take advantage of Kirsten's generosity. Yeah, Kirsty says no, 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 no. Yeah. Seb's fault. Seb made me do it. We were going to try and send you across to Lauren, but she doesn't have any signal. That's most unfortunate. Okay, past the elephant fence. I'm trying to see if I can find you a bird that you can look at while I do this. There's a bird in FC. Oh, hello, Charlotte. There, I found one. Okay, I'll be 2 seconds. I'll be two seconds. Go and grab it from my poor ancient car. No, that's Brent's. That's not ideal.
Me? No, I don't have a story.
Okay.
It's the story of Jamie having a jacket. I wanted to do a story about you, Kirsty.
What was that?
She wants me to say a story, but I don't have a story to tell. I wanted to do a story about her in FC.
Oh, Seb doesn't have any stories. You have the best stories, Seb. Okay, I'm deeply thankful to you all for your patience. Aww, apparently Jerry was going to come out and do a little dance. Well,
Oh,
Well,
I've
we-
got something nice.
you got something nice. Seb, you know there's an Inyala next to you the whole thing. Anyway, on your left, but this is cuter. It's a... It is right. There's spot the odd one out. That's an odd-looking mongoose. Definitely very strange. A mystery indeed. Morning. Trick. Seb's magic tricks, everyone. The disappearing mongoose. They're all racing. I was going to try and show them to you again, but they've all vanished off towards the tent. Okay, cool. Let's go check the hyena den again. Seb is doing his utmost. That's our final control back there. Geraldine's running. Where's Geraldine running to?
Oh, there she is.
Hey, look, there's Jerry. She escaped us. Poking your nose over the fence for Ben if you don't want to be on camera. Sorry, folks. We'll continue on. We've been somewhat beset by gremlins. So you were forced to get that behind-the-scenes glimpse. I could have toughed it out, but I just would have been in misery. Right, let's go back to Hyena Den. Probably Corky and Pretty were there and they've given up on waiting for the lions to move. I was talking about Duma Clan not challenging lions. I think the prides are just too big and there's too much of a risk of males at the moment, but it's something that they've hardly ever done. When in comparison to the Elephant Plains clan, they have numbers of up to 40. Well, apparently they number up to about 40. I've never actually seen most of them. I've seen one or two, but not most of them. And they have the advantage there. Hyenas and the Duma hyena approach to conflict with lions. The hyenas here seem to spend more time dogging the footsteps of leopards. Seb and I were actually commenting on it this morning about the fact that I'm pretty certain that every time we see a leopard, there's one hyena somewhere around it. Okay, that's infinitely better. I'm no longer on death's door. Okay, cool, of course, with pleasure. I was going back to the den, but I'm more than happy to do that quickly. Apparently lots of people requesting a little bit of a dam patrol to see how much it's rained and how much it's filled. I would... Well, let me not be a Debbie Downer about this. I'm really sorry if your name's Debbie. Please don't get cross with me. I don't mean you're a downer. It's just an expression. I don't know that it's going to have made that much of a difference. Let's see. Better than nothing. Anything is better than nothing. Oh, no, actually, it's a bit of water. Now, a couple of years ago, the Duma Dam, or the Boyatella Dam, actually flooded and broke the banks. Now, that's really hard to imagine. Looking at it now. No, little monkeys, wait. They're coming to our camp for breakfast. It's their favorite time of day. Oh, okay, I'll take you to the dam now. Let me just see if I can get these monkeys. There's one with a tiny baby around. There's a male. They're gone completely. Where did they go, Seb? They were right here. There's one. Oh, there's one, yeah. There's one in this troop that has a weeny little baby. Troublemakers in chief. Standing by. Thanks so much, Orbs. I'll wait until everybody's moved through. I'm just going to go check Misikai again. Shame. Aubrey, that was very kind of him. He made space for us. Kicked everybody else off the line out to make space for us. That was very sweet. Oh, there's another little one, but it's frantically... Whoa! Zoom. Flash by. So the monkeys have learned that humans mean food, and it's not just here, it's everywhere. Where there are humans and there are vervet monkeys, they are very quick on the uptake and they're very intelligent, and of course they're also very nimble. Now that means that they can become an absolute pest unless all food is kept well out of their reach and they don't learn to associate people with food. Unfortunately, once that's happened, it's very difficult to deal with. So the monkeys at camp will actually come down and steal our breakfast while people are standing right next to it. They'll leap down off the roof, grab one and dash off. They are little terrors. Cute, man. They are sweet. You can't be angry with them for too long. I'm really happy to see monkeys. Since I returned, I've actually not managed to spend much time with them. And that's upset me a little bit because I really enjoy spending time with vervet monkeys, and they've been largely absent except in our camp. While we were on holiday in Cozy Bay, forgive me if you've heard this tale before, for you are about to hear it again. But while we were on holiday at Cozy Bay, the boys were out fishing and Ali and I were lounging. We were reading, and we were sitting inside because it was so windy. And Ali had bought this amazing box of cookies, or packet of cookies. It was in a plastic wrap. And I was so really looking forward to them. They were sort of crunchy and just delicious. And not bad quality. They were fairly expensive cookies. Anyway, naturally, a monkey came in, grabbed the cookies off the table, and ran up into a tree, at which point I lost my temper completely and went into an entirely futile bout of, because it's coastal forest, the trees are so dense that you can't get to anything. So there's me doing a manic dance, waving a stick around, yelling at them. But of course, monkeys are not intimidated by women. It's a funny thing, but they discern gender, and they are much less likely to run away from a woman than they are from a man. This, of course, infuriated me even further, to the point that I imagine if someone were to draw me as a cartoon, there would be bits of spit flying and red-cheeked, and I was absolutely fuming. I was so angry that the monkey did eventually drop it in the fork of a tree, and as I started to climb the tree to rescue our cookies, the monkey actually came and tried to attack me and tried to bite me. So I had to jump down again to sort of establish a defensive posture. Ali had joined me at this point, and we were both going completely mad, but we couldn't get to them. Anyway, long story short, basically the cookies were balanced on the branch of a tree, perfectly okay. The monkey had only taken one, but I threw a stick and I knocked them off by mistake. I was throwing it at the monkey, but it knocked the biscuits off. And thus was the deeply tragic end to our biscuits. I turned into a cookie monster. Kirsty's exactly right. I was a cookie monster. I was so angry. There's actually more up ahead, but they're a bit further away. And it seems as though they know that I'm talking about them. They're all up in that marula tree in the front there. Now, there are many things vervet monkeys have to fear. I am not one of them, but the bird of prey with Lauren could potentially be.
Yes, and what do we have here? So it turns out to be more of a birding day than I thought, and there's a lot of big raptors and some vultures and battaliers in the area. So we have spent a little bit of time here to try and see if we can figure out what is going on. We do believe something is going on, but here we do have a bird for you. Now let's work through exactly what this bird could be. So it's obviously a raptor. and it's quite a large one. You can see that very, very sharp beak. So this bird is very scruffy looking. That's how I would describe it. The feathers look a bit ruffled, and it looks like it's not put its comb through its hair this morning or brushed its hair in the bathroom. So we would say that it looks a little bit scruffy. Now I know what this bird is, but I would love some contribution from you all, and you can tell me what you think this raptor is. So what does it... Oh, Michelle is guessing a snake eagle. Now that's a good guess, but it's not a snake eagle. Snake eagles generally tend to not have feathers on their legs. Now, although it is very, very difficult to tell, we probably did have an advantage for seeing it earlier. This bird does have feathers on its legs. So it's not a snake eagle, which means it's a true eagle. But good guess, Michelle. Any other guesses we have there? Dr. Rob is guessing it is a... Oh, winged bird. Wet bird. Wet bird. Oh, joke. I was a bit slow on the uptake there. Yes, and maybe that's why it looks so scruffy, because it's been rained on. But you're correct on the bird part. I'll give you half a point for that. And the clouds are still heavy, but we haven't felt any rain yet. But it's possibly very wet from last night. But we'll still go with half a point for that. So I think from... Oh, Alex guesses it's a steppe eagle. Interesting. Good guess. But the steppe eagle is very smooth looking. Steppe eagles are much bigger. Oh, is that Christian? Kristen says it's a tawny eagle. Correct. Well done. We're going to go with tawny eagle here. So the reason it is... Oh, it just gave us a nice show of its feathers and its legs there. You can see the feathers on the legs. So the steppe eagles looks much smoother and they are much bigger. So we're going to go with tawny eagle because it's very scruffy and messy looking, and they are slightly smaller than the steppe eagle. So good job, everybody. Thank you for the guesses. I'm quite enjoying these guess the bird games. So we'll leave this guy alone to potentially become a wet bird, as the skies are not looking too promising. And we're still going to continue on our original mission. We did get a little bit distracted because we do feel that something is happening in this area just due to all the bird activity. We had a look, lost some signal, but we're not able to find out exactly what is going on. Now, a lot of these birds eat carrion, so that made us think that there could potentially be a kill around, or at least something dead. So we weren't able to find it, so that means we're back on our original mission to look for those spotted cats. Now, I love how Jamie ran back to get a jacket. I'm still brave in it. I've got the Scottish blood in my skin, so I'm still brave enough to handle the cold. But while we do brave the cold, let's go back over to Jamie and see exactly how she's doing.
Well, I think you all know I didn't brave the cold at all, and if I can avoid braving the cold, I shall. I was very chasing each other around, and Kirsty's feeding comes through to me. Thanks, Kirst. It's okay, you caught on quite fast. Quack, 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 quack. Tristan mentioned yesterday that the goslings are all very cute until they grow up and start making noise. Their aerial acrobatics are quite impressive. I don't really understand how the dynamics of Egyptian geese work, because there'll be one at a waterhole or two, and then another one will come in and they'll get incredibly possessive and they'll make a lot of noise and chase the interloper away, and then the interloper will come back and they'll all settle down around the water's edge. Or you'll get a situation like at Chitwa Dam where, well, there seems to be about 40 more Egyptian geese than I've ever seen in my life, let's just put it that way. And occasionally a fight will erupt and they'll go quack, 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 quack at each other, and they'll lift up their wings and waddle aggressively in the direction of a goose that presumably has done something wrong. But I don't really understand. They don't seem to have a territory or a... They're scrapping again. Display time. It doesn't really make sense. There's no set territory that we can see. And yes, of course they like having a pan to themselves, but they don't seem to mind to share, or they don't seem to mind sharing, would be a sort of better English. Would be a sort of better English. Great. Just bear with me a moment. Okay, he's listening to the Game Drive radio. Right, now we actually came here not to look at the Egyptian geese, but to show you the amount of water at Voyatella Dam. Now, yesterday, that's the pan, by the way, that's pumped. That is the actual water hole in front of us. That is what collects with a natural amount of rainwater. And that is what it looks like. So it's better, certainly better, infinitely better than it was, in that it has water. It's no longer dry. And the nice thing is that we were chatting about it earlier, the ground is now quite well saturated. So if we have another relatively big rain, it's not going to soak into the ground. A lot more of it will flow in here. So it's a sort of a cumulative effect. The first few rains get soaked up by the thirsty soil, and of course especially by the clay-like soil of the bottom of this waterhole. But then once that's done, once it's waterlogged, then it becomes an easier and easier process for it to be filled. It takes less time. Obviously it then increases in volume, the amount of volume needed, because the dam is not... How do I put this? You know what I mean. Obviously more volume is needed the higher the water level gets, because it spreads out. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, lots of noise. Chirping kingfishers. There'll be tadpoles aplenty, terrapins aplenty, and in fact there might even be some catfish that have survived the rigidity in the mud. Righty. Quick trip past Hyena then we'll go back to the lions, because there is now space for us. So while we do that, while we head in that direction, let's go across to David, who's found the Mara cleanup crew, who presumably are still feeling the effects of the migration.
Well, it's very good for Jamie to play with two predators, hyenas, lions. That's very lucky of her. Well, we have different predators here, and these are the vultures. And this is the area we had the sausage tree pride a few days ago, and they had brought down a huge buffalo, and that's now what's left of that buffalo. You can see the ribcage, and the vultures have come to finish what the sausages started. Well, not a single sign of the lions here, and for the vultures to come down, it should indicate the lions are definitely gone. This is how it plays out. You get the predators bringing down a prey, and once they're done with it, we'll have hyenas or vultures cleaning it. And that's the beauty of the Mara Triangle, the magnificent savannah, and the sausages could be anywhere here, in any of this area, either in the grass, in any lager, gone up that escarpment. And I'm thinking we need to smoke them out where they've gone. And we just thought maybe me and Manu, they might have gone to look for the one female that was expecting to have cubs. And if that's the case, we now need to have a plan B of searching for them. We still got lots of wildebeest around this area, lots of zebras, so food will not be a concern to them. They should have a lot to eat. And the idea is just now to know where they are, and if they've gone to catch up with the other female, that would be very advanced. They move a lot, and I guess because I was with them last night until about 6 o'clock, they must have moved at night, and that's the time lions tend to move more than during the day when it's pretty cool. So if the new mother will bring 2 other cubs, as they always get, and I think 1 to 4 cubs, we'll have the 3 that she got now, and if we assume she'll bring 2, we'll end up having 5 cubs in this pride, which will be very good. So it will be 5 females, 5 cubs. That should make 10, and the 2 boys that are hanging around with them forming the coalition, so maybe 12 altogether. Before the 2 boys came in, before the 2 males came in, that we call the Oldonyo Pike, there was another big male that we used to call Kipuli, which we have not seen for quite some time, and personally I think Kipuli might have been overthrown by now by these 2 males. They are a lot younger, much stronger to me, and they must be the one that sired these 3 cubs that we have with the sausages. Manu, when was the last time you saw Kipuli? Haha. Quite some time he saw Kipuli, and hopefully will be knowing his fate, because once an existing male lion is overthrown, he is done. So he'll tend to live on his own until he's able to get maybe at our pride where he'll be in charge. Just trying to look in front of us and see. We saw something move. We're going to find out whether it was a hartebeest. It's a very good question. How long have we seen Scarface? Personally, the Scarface, I last saw him 3 months ago. 3 months ago. But 2 days ago, I saw his 3 brothers. That's 2 days ago. I saw his 3 brothers. And Scarface, just like Kipuli, has gone missing. So it's quite some time since we saw Scarface. And 3 months is a long time. Personally, I have not seen her. I've not seen him, rather. A friend of mine might have seen him the other day, but we doubted that was Scarface, because the description or the pictures we saw, they did not look for Kipuli. So it's quite some time, rather, Scarface, but we have not seen Scarface. So this is one of the lagers I would expect the lions, if they moved from where they were, to have come to this lager. They love it. It's much warmer and not much water would come inside it. And of course, once the prey know the lions in a particular area, they tend also to go away, and the lions will also follow them. Nine out of 10 times they come looking for the sausages. I've always found them, and hopefully this will not be the 1 out of 10 times that I have missed them. But I've got lots of time to search for them, because it's still very cool, unless it's too cold for them and they don't want to come out as yet. Sausages, come out, we are looking for you, and especially the one particular female that we have not seen for quite some time. If she has popped up her 2 or 3 new cubs, I'm sure the rest of the pride are warming up with her. So just want to stop down here for a couple of seconds and just use my far lookers to scan the whole of this area, because should they be lying down, I just need a closer look with my binos to make sure I don't miss any detail. And I'm sure Man will be doing the same with this camera. They could be on a termite mound. Sometimes we look where we get to see zebras. or any prey they'd be looking for. At the moment, just zebras, elands, elephants. Not any sign of a lion. Well, I want to keep scanning the whole of this area and see how lucky I am, but I think Lauren got some smaller antelopes with her.
Yes, we have antelope indeed. Here we have some impala. I can never drive past the impala. They're always worth a look at. Now, all the impala that we have seen so far today have all been tucked right into the bushes, the shrubbery, in amongst the vegetation. So this is why it's not so easy to get a... Oh, something startled them. It's not so easy to get a good look at them today, and this is most likely because they're trying to avoid the wind. The wind has picked up, and I think we're all chilly today down here in South Africa. So the impalas are obviously trying to avoid being right in the face of the wind by sort of snuggling themselves in amongst the vegetation. So they're still going about their daily business, they're still feeding, and this appears to be some boys, a little bachelor herd. You can just imagine how cold it would be to be an impala today. Obviously they have short coating, a hair coat, so they actually employ a method not so dissimilar to us. They get a version of goosebumps. So when we're cold, obviously we get the goosebumps or the goose pimples or the shivery pops, whatever you would like to call them, where our hair stands on end, and this is when we're cold. So the impalas pretty much do the same. So all their hair will stand on end, and this is them just trying to get a little bit warmer. So it's a chilly day to be an impala today. Now, the predators can also use the wind and the weather to their advantage as well. So if there's a lot of wind howling, then the animals will not exactly hear the predators coming. So the prey and the predator will behave different when the weather changes like that. So the impalas have gone a little bit further into the bush. So we're going to continue on. So did I. Yes, it is the summer season. However, last night we did experience a huge storm with thunder and lightning, lots of rain, which I'm sure you've heard about. And I'm not quite sure why the temperatures have dropped this morning, to be honest. Yesterday was scorching. I think people got sunburned. So I'm not quite sure why the weather is so drastically different today, but the temperatures really have. This is more like Scotland summer than anything else, to be honest. So our signal is be safe and go over to Jamie, who is currently just driving.
I'm driving back towards the lions. I'm going to call in a second to see whether or not we can make our way in. But there's no one home at the hyena den. It was a shot in the dark, really, to see whether or not they were still there. They were still there, or had arrived, rather. It is drizzling on and off, which is good. A nice, cold, cloudy day like this gives everything a chance to just settle. A little bit of extra drizzle goes a long way. Big rains, while fantastic, and it's good that we get the big rains, do actually take a lot of the top layer of the soil off. So they are helpful, but a settling rain is what we really need. A day's worth of settling rain. I don't think we're going to get it, but that's what we really need. 2 days of just constant, gentle rain would be sufficient to fill up the water holes to a large extent, just enough for them to be able to survive the hot days that will inevitably return. Station with the Nkuhumas on Gallagher shortcut for Jamie. How many vehicles are there? Okay, copy, thanks. I'm just approaching quarantine now. Cool. It's all ours. Let's just do a quick loop of the western edge of quarantine. It's a pleasure, Craig. Cool, so I'm just going to check the western edge of quarantine just in case the little chief has decided to make my way around there just to see whether or not he's made an appearance. He was up right towards Buffelshoek the last time we saw him. Nanavi, you want to know if we have any updates on Hosana? We do not. The last time he was seen, he was on a baby impala kill. James had him. And he was missing a little bit of fur around his shoulder and a little bit of a flesh wound. So he's doing absolutely fine, hopefully a little bit the wiser for his encounter with the lion. I cannot imagine how terrifying that would have been if we'd actually seen that happen, or even if we hadn't known that he was okay, because that morning that we found those tracks, we'd already seen him, and we knew he was fine, we knew he was alive and well, we'd seen him, he was doing absolutely perfectly, but it was only afterwards that we found the evidence that he'd actually had a run-in with a lion, and I'm so grateful it worked that way around. And not that we'd found those tracks first, because we would have been in a state of pure paranoia, worrying about him. Mrs. Lapwing, it was a male lion that attacked Hosana. It looked like it was, we don't really know if it was one of the evokers or perhaps that Talamati male that's been around. I suspect it was an evoker, but we don't actually know. We could only gauge from the size of the tracks. It was very clearly a male lion, which almost, I think, is better for Hosana. Not if he was caught. Not if he'd been, and he was caught, I suppose, but he managed to break free. But a male lion is a little bit slower and a little bit less agile than a lioness. Doesn't mean they're slow or they're not agile, it just means they're not quite as, they're a bit more muscle bound than a lioness, which means they don't change direction as quickly or as easily, and they can't bend their heads in the way that would be necessary to catch a fighting leopard, a leopard that's fighting for its life. And it's interesting that it happened then, because Herbie is standing by. I'll tell you what Herbie said in a moment. Okay, copy that, thanks. I'm making my way there. Size, and the fact that he could actually, we were talking about Hukumuri and whether or not if they had an encounter, Hosana would be okay. And we came to the conclusion that at the size he is now, Hosana is largely out of danger when it comes to other males, unless he gets other male leopards. Unless he gets really unlucky. We think that if he were to fight with Hukumuri, he'd get a bit of a bruising, but he would survive it. He'd be strong enough at this point to be able to get out of the way and to escape. A leopard, when it's cornered, is a fearsome, it's got saber knives and reflexes that are not matched by any of the other big cats, and speed and strength. So we figured he'd be okay. The only thing that we discussed was the possibility of him being attacked by a lion. That's exactly what happened. We didn't know that at that point, but it was that same morning. All right. Sort of moving quite quickly so we can get us back to the lions. I see there's a... Brent Leo Smith. Brent Leo Smith. I'm highly doubtful that that's your actual name, Brent Leo Smith, though I'm sure Brent Leo Smith himself is truly flattered at your appropriation of his. Leo, spelled L-I-O, not L-E-O. I wonder if we're going to see a name change. I could be mistaken. There could be two Brent Leo Smiths in the world, one spelled slightly differently. If I am, my sincerest apologies. If I'm not, well, I'm sure we'll see a change in name and a correction of spelling shortly. Now, a lioness versus a male leopard. Who would win? A lioness would win. She's got probably an extra 40 kilograms over a big male leopard, maybe 30 depending on how big the lioness is. Either way, she's bigger and stronger. But the sheer ferocity of a cornered male leopard again might mean that a lioness would decide that it's just not worth the time and the effort once she caught him. Tingana got stalked by one of the Nkuhuma lionesses and very nearly caught a couple of years ago. He shot up a tree and looked miserable at the top for a while. But I think if that lioness had caught him, she might have found herself biting off a bit more than she was really prepared to chew. I think some of you will have seen that video from quite a long time ago, the footage of a male leopard sneaking in to steal some lioness's kill. Crazy leopard, I mean, absolutely weird. He went in with 4 lionesses. He went in to try and steal their kill. He got caught. He got smacked. He lay down. He fought back and then he lay down and they left him. And then he got up again and he ran and he got away. And it was just by sheer force of will more than anything else that leopard survived. One-on-one, if forced into a situation where they had to fight, say a lioness protecting her cubs, then yes, the lioness would win. They did eventually apparently catch that leopard, the lionesses, because he went through a stage where he killed their cubs. He used to seek out and kill the little lion cubs. And eventually one of the mothers caught him and ended his reign of lion cub killing. There you go. So a lot of you talking about the fact that Anderson's encountered a lioness before and that he ran. They would. A male leopard will run from a lioness except for that odd one. I can't remember his name now. There's one of the leopards down south. It'll come back to me. I was watching the video not so long ago. Okay, we're going to go through a little bit of a dip. I'll be up through the other side though very shortly, so it should be okay. I'll go quickly. All male leopards will avoid lions if they can. Okay, hold on folks. Fight off the gremlins. Okay. So, X-Rangus says that leopards sound a bit like ninjas. Definitely. Small, stealthy, ferociously powerful. They are essentially the ninjas of the African wilderness. So yes, leopards are a little bit like ninjas. It's not all about size out here. Being bigger doesn't necessarily mean a total advantage. Having a mean attitude, and I don't mean mean in the sense of horrible, because there's no animal that is mean. There's animals that act on instinct. They cannot by definition be mean any more than they can be kind and good. But a mean attitude in the sense that confidence and determination, in the slightly more colloquial sense, will go a long way. Look at Kanuma, who established himself quite quickly in his young life in Mala Mala. So apparently these lions with the Mangeni males were seen on Simbambili yesterday. I'm very confused. I don't know what's going on. Go ahead, Matt. Okay, copy. You're welcome to make your way. As far as I know, it's just myself and one other vehicle making their way. Negative. You've got to keep coming along Buffelshoek cut line to Gallagher shortcut where the signposts are, and they're just off there. Cool. Just giving somebody some directions. Okay, we're not too far away. We're going to approach them in the next 2 or so minutes, but since it's not that exciting looking at the back of my head and listening to me speak to people on the radio, let's go see where David's off to and whether or not he's had any luck.
Well, the sausages have become a bit elusive this morning, and it would happen once in a while depending on where they repositioned themselves for the last night. But I'd guess they'd always do that either for two reasons. Number one, maybe to keep their cubs warm, or maybe to look for different type of prey, having brought down them to bring down something different, say like a zebra. One reason why I respect the sausages is because the females, even without the help of a male, they've been known to bring down big prey, and I'm talking mainly of buffaloes, elands, giraffes, but they seem to have specialized on bringing down buffaloes. Not once we'll see them with a buffalo kill, so zebras like this would be very easy for them. Many predators of lions, especially the females, for them to bring down a buffalo, they'll need a hand of a male. A male in one of the coalitions will always come in and flex their muscles, because it's not easy to bring down a buffalo, but the sausages have been known to do it without males. Common zebras here, or the Bachel zebras. Most of them have definitely gone down to Serengeti, but we still have a good number of them left here, and many still fall there, a youngster there, being shielded by those adults and being kept in the middle. And you notice the black or the brown is still more conspicuous on the young, unlike the old ones. She went down, maybe not very hungry, but the adults definitely have to feed. Trying to imagine the grass is still pretty soft at the moment, and a lot of dew, so they have to take advantage of that. Tails as usual, busy, flicking left and right. I've always wondered if anybody has counted. Chris, you say you like to ride a horse in the Mara. That's something interesting. We got people who come in the Mara Triangle, and on the very edge of the Mara Triangle, they're allowed to ride horses. So we have, Chris, a different type of zebra in Kenya called the gravy zebra, and we think it has a stronger back than this particular Bachel zebra here. People have always wondered why wouldn't anybody ride a zebra, and we have said zebras got very soft backs, so they could easily cave in or collapse or just suffer some backbone issues. But the other type of zebra that's called the gravy zebra have a little stronger back than this one. And we got an area further north of Kenya called Laikipia, where we got people who are crossing that zebra with horses, and they're getting what we call a zebroid. And just like the mules, like the hybrid you get between donkeys and horses, the zebroid, the genes don't progress from there, but they got a stronger back, and people have been known to ride on them. I think that was an oxpecker on that bird, on that zebra there. So yeah, you good to ride horses should you come in the Mara, one day in the Mara Triangle, on the very edge, making sure you don't bump into lions or to elephants, because if elephants would definitely see horses and they'll be like, this is a species you're not used to, they might decide to charge at them. But we'll always have game rangers, we'll always walk way in front to make sure the path is quite clear. All right, I'm not giving up on my sausages. Well done, zebras, and keep eating. I just wish they could give us some clue where the sausages are, but by the look of the body language, it will tell me there are no cats around. As much as that's not always the case, we'll have lions being very sneaky and just slowly crouching or inching on the zebras without them knowing. So just seeing them relax like that doesn't mean there are no lions or any other cats around here. Warmed up nicely, my Masai shuka down. So I still got 2 more layers, and as it warm up, I'll keep bringing them down. And I think Jamie is doing pretty well with the lions this morning.
Well, I mean, I have done pretty well, but it is absolutely no credit given to me, and all the credit goes to Aubrey and Tax. So there we are. We're back with our lovely collection of nkuhumas, short of their standard male companions. Amber Eyes was just giving us her steely-eyed amber glance a moment ago. Glance? No, glance would be how we try not to let our South African accent come through too strongly. They've all decided they want some more of the zebra now. They've gathered together, but most of them are a little bit too full to eat. This one's giving it a jolly good go, though, one of the youngsters. Making sure they get the most out of this meal. This must be one of the first meals that they've had without the males to have to sort of fend off. You can really see that this is a young lion. Just have a look at its teeth. As it pulls away at the meat, just look at its teeth, and you can see how pristine they are. For those of you that perhaps have slightly squeamish stomachs, then maybe don't have a close look, but we're going to, for we are not bothered by such things. There we go. You can look away if you don't want to see bits of meat being dragged up. Oi, bring your teeth back here. Hey, we were looking at those. There we go. Look how beautiful they are. Clean, fresh, white. She's got a little bit of a nick out of her nose there. Very young lion. It's immediately apparent. Now that nick over there, probably a claw hooked into her nose, perhaps in an argument over feeding rights. Or maybe even potentially in a fight with the males, but that's complete guesswork. We don't actually know that. Now, pink noses in lions are a deceptive thing when it comes to aging them. Some lionesses keep pink noses for the rest of their lives, but mostly they darken with age. So at about 5 or 6 years old, around about 40 to 50% of the nose has gone black. And then as they get older, it's sort of 8 or 9 years old, the nose is almost completely black. And by 12, 13, which is quite an old lioness, then you see that it's totally black. But it's a risky thing to do, to age a lion with its nose. The best way is to look at the condition of the teeth. Oh, of course, the best way, which is something that we can do here, is to know when they were born. Useful, isn't it? None of that guesswork involved. And good morning to Maureen, who would like to know about the lion's feeding habits and whether or not they eat the bones, brains and eyes of the kills that they make. Depends on the size of the kill. So if a lioness manages to kill a baby impala or a baby warthog, she will eat the entire thing from top to toe, including hooves, including tail, including brain, skull and bones. But that's for a young animal. That is a baby animal where the bones are still quite soft. For an animal like this, no. Sorry. Hold off, Maureen. Standing by. AFM, keep going west until you come to the Big Buffels Hook signboard. And I'll let you know when I've got your audio. I should see you from here. I've got good hearing. Cheeky boy.
What did he say?
He's very proud of the new electronic vehicles. So I said I'll let him know when I can hear him, and he goes, "What audio with this vehicle?" Cheeky monkey. Right, what were we talking about? Brains, eyes, and bones. So, we were talking about the brains issue. They won't be able to eat the brains. They won't be able to crush the skull to get to them. And in fact, even hyena struggle with that on larger animals like zebra or buffalo, for example. Mostly the brains are left to turn to soup and eventually disintegrate over time. Eyes, absolutely. Eyes are usually the first thing to go. They are nice, soft, and juicy. Blech. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are not enjoying your dinner at this point. I certainly hope you're not eating any grapes or lychees. Or lychees, as some people call them. They are, of course, wrong. So yes, eyes are the first thing to go. Bits of bone on an adult zebra. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. Hey, beautiful. Aren't you lovely? We spoke about this earlier. They'll eat the soft end parts of the bone. You're a good-looking girl. Oh, the Nkomas are stunning lions. I'm biased, of course. There's no such thing really as an ugly lion. But I'm biased. I think that they are good-looking ladies. Hairy chins, though. Not that that is a fault. A hairy chin is a hairy chin. It's a useful thing, I suppose, if you're a lion. I don't know why it would be useful, actually. Now that I've said that, that doesn't make any sense. There, she's got injuries there. Sorry, Seb. Here we go. She's got a bite mark on the back of her leg. There, yes, her back leg. Up a little. There. There we go. Something bit her, and that looks like a lion to me. She's gone off to relieve herself, so we'll provide her with the privacy to do so for now. Chris, how on earth did you eat brains by mistake in Spain? I mean, there's a whole new rhyme in this. The brains in Spain brought great stomach pain, or something. Chris said that they really don't like eating brains. I'm a poet and I do know it. It was a deliberate attempt. I don't like eating brains in Spain in the rain. It doesn't have quite the same ring to it as the rains in Spain, does it? When you burst into My Fair Lady, would have been an entirely... Pygmalion would have been a very different play if she'd been taught to say that she doesn't like to eat brains in Spain. The zombie Pygmalion. That entertains me more than it should. Very different style. Goodness. Okay, let's go to Jackie, who's found a bird.
A very good morning to you all, and we were looking at some beautiful Valence cuckoo. My name is Jackie, and I am so glad to have you with me on board this morning. And of course, behind camera we have the fantastic James. So we were looking at some Valence cuckoo, and right now we've got a beautiful, beautiful roller up in the tree, and there was some interesting interaction happening between the roller and the cuckoo, specifically because the roller is quite territorial and might possibly have a nest somewhere, but we saw this roller chasing the cuckoo away. Now, okay, I'm just trying to see. I think the nest is in there. And the cuckoo's also there. Oh, there, it's flown off. There's the roller. Lovely colours, the lilac. So yes, as I was saying, the roller was chasing the cuckoo away. Now, cuckoos aren't actually really very liked birds because of their reputation of parasitizing other birds. And very interestingly enough, the different types of cuckoos can even mimic up to even 25 different types of species of birds. So that's quite an achievement from the cuckoo to be able to mimic the eggs and also mimic the calls of those different types of birds. As you can see, it's preening itself. It's not a sus. The sun hasn't come out yet, so it's still quite overcast, and it was drizzling slightly earlier. So having a good clean, making sure that those feathers are fluffed out and dry, fanning out, but also keeping a lookout. Look at that. Sarah, that's a wonderful question. So I'm going to see if I can count them from here. We see the lilac, we see the blue, we see the black. So how many is that so far? Lilac, blue, black, and there's a bit of white on there as well. So 4 that I can count. I don't know if you can maybe count more than that. In total, there are 7 colors on the lilac-breasted roller, Sarah. Very pretty bird, but doesn't really have a beautiful call. There's a very sweet story that I heard the other day that Jamie told me about how the pretty birds don't have beautiful calls, but the brown birds have the most beautiful calls. And also one of the few species where both the male and the female are pretty, with pretty colors, which is quite useful for both of them. So they have a very interesting the male, they will sort of fly around and flutter around and in sort of a rolling, swirling manner in the air to try and attract the female. Lovely birds. And they'll eat insects, even scorpions. I saw the other day one had a scorpion and was hitting the scorpion on the branch to try and shock it so that they can eat it and take it apart. So, there you go. Okay, so let's see, we are actually on a mission to try and find the spotted kind of cat for you all. And while we do that, let's go back to Jamie.
Jamie's actually going to show you something that is relatively disgusting. So again, I apologize to those of you that are sensitive of stomach. I'm afraid this stuff doesn't bother me. I find it fascinating. So the vultures have not yet managed to find this kill, but the dung beetles certainly have, and they are already making or taking advantage of the nice fresh stomach contents of this zebra, and they are massed together. I'm now half listening because I've really, I've said I've got good hearing. I better not miss him and let him drive past. So I'm half listening, half talking. I was wondering if it's more nutritious for the dung beetle larvae if they arrive at a fresh pile of stomach contents like this. I mean, they're soaked in blood, and the contents of the stomach are not as well digested as they would have been had the zebras survived to, pass them. So I wonder if this is actually a boon for dung beetles that... Now, there are, of course, species of dung beetle that specialize in carrion or in predator scat. These guys are not. These are herbivore dung beetles. They feed off grass and grass stomach contents. So it'd be interesting to know if this is actually something that is highly prized in the dung beetle world. It's also phenomenal how quickly they found it. This little chap, He's doing a marvelous job of creating his dung ball. Standing by. No problem. Keep coming. I'm not going to be pulling out yet. Shame, bless him. Telling me I can leave if I want to. I'm not going anywhere. Now, Marta's wondering about whether or not there are actually dung beetles inside that thing that are making it move. Yes, there are. They're underneath it. So it looks like a piece of stomach lining, potentially, or some movie, doesn't it? It's ridiculously disgusting. That goes so well with our zombie Pygmalion theme. My Fair Zombie. It's all working together to create a charming horror movie experience. I mean, that really is. It's the Blob. That's thoroughly disgusting, but yes, there are dung beetles under there, searching for better piles of dung. It looks alive. There's one that's popping out there at the bottom, and now going back down. Sally, you and I are on the same page, apparently. He also just tweeted, "It's alive." It's quite distressing, but fascinating at the same time. I cannot look away. Brent Lyo Smith, you say gross. Well, fair enough. It is pretty gross. I mean, I can't argue with that. It's fascinating, but it is gross. I don't think I could get away with saying it's not disgusting. It is pretty disgusting. Look at it go. It's actually it is fascinating. My word. That's obviously the best part. You know what that might be is the cecum. So that's the part of the intestine in zebra and other hindgut fermenters that is greatly extended. That is where a lot of the bacterial fermentation takes place. It's probably where the grass is that's at its nice and mushiest and sort of dampest. Now that dung beetle really wants to find a way in there, but it can't. Come on, guys. Get it together. Oh, now we're going to have a little argument over this dung ball. No, we're not. We're moving on. Thank goodness. Look at it go. It's so cool. It's mesmerizing. I've always had a fascination with these sorts of things. I can hear him. Should I tell him I've got his audio? Haha. I want to test my hearing indeed. Matt, if you keep coming and then take your first road to your left, you'll see us. Dun dun dun. There's a tail there as well that I've just seen. Well, no, I haven't just seen. I'm just going to draw your attention to. Ah, bravo, well done. Achievements all around for the SafariLive team. David has managed to find a lion in the Masai Mara, and in this case, it's a male.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Having seen the females there of Nkuhumas, I thought we need to look for the boys, either they are in Juma or in the Triangle. And luckily, I've gotten one of the boys that form the coalition of the Oldonyo Pack. There are two males I was talking about, which I think have overthrown Kipuli. Kipuli has been the dominant male here in this territory for a very long time, but I think this very snoozy male here and another brother of his, who is not very far from here, might be the ones now who are reigning in this territory. Now, this tells me the females are not very far. I was just about to give up looking for the sausages today, and I was telling Manu, let's go look for something different. We just saw that one male walking. He lay down, and again he is coming towards us. Very well done, Manu. And I think he might come. Oops, hopefully that car doesn't run over him. I hope he got good eyes, but I'm sure he's trying to put his guests in a better angle for them also to enjoy the view of this very majestic, the king of the savannah when it comes to lions. He's walking and sieving through the grass. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I've always thought the lions in the Mara Triangle are a slightly bit maybe bigger, heavier, bulkier than the ones in Juma. I don't know what Jamie and Lauren might have to say about that. I'm trying to remember the Avoca males, and compared to most of the males we see here, this Ondonyo Pike, the Quichua males, the Scarface that we were talking about a few minutes ago, who we haven't seen for quite some time. Tamala, you say these male lions are so majestic, and it couldn't be a better word. Majestic is pretty good, I agree with you, very majestic. Not sure he wanted to stop there. Mark territory, scent marking, as they have always done. Or do you want to bed yourself there? Boom. Typical of lions. And I'm looking at him being about 25 meters away from the brother, who is on the left here, who is still much awake, unlike the one that just went flat. He's more conscious of what's happening around, unlike the one that just went boom there. And I'm not surprised if they might spend the rest of the day under those shades, 15, 20 hours. They'll be known to sleep. Nothing out of the ordinary for the male lions. What a beautiful mane he got, eh? So having feasted on that buffalo the last 3 days, I would guess they might go today without another meal, maybe until tonight or tomorrow, but maybe not beyond tomorrow, because we've got some 3-year-old cubs there, and those mothers have to be well fed as they nurse, and definitely also those cubs are meat-eating age. Boom. Look at that belly. Not sure how many pounds of meat is in there from the buffalo. Are you going to sleep there the whole day? And in general, so long as the head is covered, so long as the head have good shade, the rest of the body could be exposed out in the sun. And 20 hours here, or if we go and come back in the afternoon, chances are he'll be right where he is. Unless, of course, you go for a drink, or if elephants would come here and harass him, they have always been known to give way to elephants. Elephants don't like seeing them. They'll just come and trumpet, because we've got some nice vegetation or nice tree line and alaga where we are, and elephants love the trees we have here that you call the magic Ngware trees. This one is more flat, maybe much sleepier than the other one. Not sure whether to say lions are light sleepers or not, but the males are. The females, I would say, they are light sleepers. The males just tend to sleep and sleep. Remember, what we do is a very interactive safari. Should you have any comments or questions, please send them through. #SafariLive. Cool Breeze, good question. I think a paw of lion on a human being could be fatal. I've always thought, it's equivalent to about 150 kilos. And 150 kilos on a human being is one good blow to bring someone down. Males ideally do not hunt, but of course once in a while, if they need to, they do. It's the females that will always do all the hunting. And once the males get overthrown, like Kipul that you're talking about, we don't know where he is, or Scarface, they're not just going to sit there and die. And like the lionesses that are smart, Cool Breeze will know how to lay an ambush, will know how to stalk, will know how to attack. The males, what they do, they wait until the prey comes so very close, and then they just whack it. So you would imagine that paw there, cool breeze, on a human being's head is enough to, I would say, kill someone. Because they know that's the only thing they need to do. If they don't do it right, and they don't put enough pressure or enough weight or enough force on their paw, chances are they're going to miss their prey. And once they do that, before the prey recovers from that blow, they jump on it very quickly, and of course will always chokehold and strangle and suffocate it, blocking the airways. And that's how maybe they survive the last 1, 2, 3 years before they die. Just breathing there slowly, you can tell, and I think, oh, that is the buffalo meat that they had the other day. And just trying to imagine, I'm thinking of a radius of about 1 kilometer from where I am. That's where the females would be with the cubs. Because not very far from here, we've seen lots of wildebeest, and I guess they might be going in that direction later. As one is trying to pan up. You look at the horizon there, all those dark animals you see there looking like ants, all those are wildebeest. Because I'm barely 5 kilometers or 4 kilometers or so odd from the Tanzania border, or very close to the Serengeti National Park. And this could be the tail end of the migration. As I said earlier, the bigger herds definitely now must be in Serengeti. These lions here have been having a bumper harvest. Every 2 days they've been bringing down a wildebeest. But now once they're gone, the ball game will have to change, because they normally, or they've been, killing zebras and wildebeest. It will be time to start looking for bigger prey. Well, these males have gone flat, and having gone flat, which is nothing out of the ordinary, I want to leave them and enjoy their nap. And it will take you back to Jamie. Maybe her lions could be a bit active than these males here.
They are a little bit more active than David's male lion. They are still, or at least some of the pride, are still filling their bellies with what remains of this zebra. Oh, look at the pretty paw. I love cat's paws. I spoke about it with leopard tracks the other day. There's something so neat about them. Oh yes, I forgot about the murder mittens conversation. That we have to rename lion's paws murder mittens. That did not come from me, but I do think it's quite entertaining. There we go. Cleaning the remains of the zebra off her face. What she's actually doing, although she is cleaning her forearm as well, she's actually using it as a way of cleaning her face. So she's licking the remains off the front leg and the paws. And then she's also using it as a sort of a serviette to clean her chops as well. Much better, hey girl. Oh, nice and full. Every time I see the Nkuhumas at this point, I start looking for signs. That sounded weird. I just mean cubs. I don't mean anything else. It sounded a lot weirder in my head. Particularly, of course, for Amber Eyes, who's had such a spectacular run of bad luck when it comes to raising little ones. And there's one of the lionesses, the one with the injured back leg. She's gone up onto the termite mound. Foldylops, I promise you I will not laugh. I don't think that is remotely funny. Although it is slightly entertaining that you told me not to laugh, because of course my contrary nature is such that now I want to have a little giggle, but I won't, because I agree. Foldylops says, I mean, if you want to laugh at anything, Foldylops says that their favourite thing about lions is the ears. They love lions' ears. And I fear I don't know if Foldylops is a man or a woman there, so I'm a bit stuck for pronouns. I would go with female, but I'm not 100% sure. So we will talk about lion's ears, which I think are absolutely lovely. And of course they tell you so much about the lion's mood and the way in which they're feeling, but beyond that they actually play a very important role in the way in which lions hunt. So when a lion is stalking up on its prey, it needs the backup of the rest of the pride members. And studies seem to suggest that they use their ears to direct the other pride members. So there's actually more to a hunt than just instinct and off we go and hope for the best. There's actually planning involved and some sort of indication as to which way the lion's going to go and when they're going to move and all of those sorts of things. Now, it could just be as subtle as one ear turning in one direction, because of course they can move independently. Oh, look at those claws. Sorry, I know we're talking about ears, but look at the claws. Out of their sheath to grip and hold zebra skin. Yes, this one's claws are a little bit dirty. Kirsty says they look a bit like James's hands on a bushwalk. I've never noticed, to be honest, but fair enough. Interestingly enough, I fear that were it Taylor, myself, Jackie, Lauren, or Trishana, we would have been pilloried for dirty fingernails on a bushwalk or otherwise. I might be mistaken, of course. And we're up. Beautiful ears held aloft. Well, I suppose they can't be anything but held aloft. They're sort of joined to the top of the skull. Doing a lot of listening. As much as I would like to say I think these lions are going to be here for the sunset safari, I'm not convinced they are. There's something alert about them. No, there's not something alert about them. They are alert. Here goes the lioness with the puncture wounds. She's had them for a while. It's my first time looking at them closely. She's got a bit of a limp, but nothing too serious. Okie dokie, we're going to sit it out with these lions as they finish off their breakfast. Let us head across to Jackie, who has a suitable post-breakfast snack for lions.
Thank goodness this one is not the breakfast of the lions this morning. We've got a beautiful kudu here, munching away. It's a lovely combretum tree. This is the perfect time after the rains when everything is really, really fresh and full of moisture for all the antelope to feast on. They're quite enjoying being out here and eating early this morning. I'm not sure if you can see the woodpecker, the oxpeckers. Had an oxpecker on its back there. Wasn't sure if it was a red-billed or a yellow-billed one. I couldn't see, but it looks like it's flown off. Oh no, it's still there, still hanging on the side. It's something that always fascinates me about seeing the oxpeckers on the antelope or whatever animal they happen to be picking off the ticks and insects off, or the ticks off, should I say. But the antelope just seems totally unfazed. It's a beautiful relationship that they have between the two. The oxpecker's getting its food. Ray, yes, you are correct in that it is often confused. The two are often confused, the Nyala and the kudu. Now, the main difference is when you see with the males and the females even, you can tell. The kudus are much, much larger in size, taller in size, and also their coloration is slightly grayish in color. And they have much longer necks as well. So if I was to show you on my app here, a Nyala, as we don't have a picture of a Nyala on the app, I can just show you so that you've got a better idea of what a Nyala looks like. So we just saw what a kudu looks like. And here we are. So here we have the picture of the male Nyala. And as you can see, also has the stripes and then the differentiating orange. So let me see if I can find a picture of the female Nyala for you. I have to have my book. Let me get my book. Cannot find my book. Where's my book? Where's my book? Let me get my book. Sorry about that. Here we are. I actually really wanted to show you what a kudu looks like. Nyala, sorry. Okay, here we go. That is a much better one. That's much better. So here we can see that the Nyala female is got a more tanned color and it's much smaller in size in comparison to the kudu female. Look at that long neck and the bigger head as well, and the longer body, longer legs and body. So that's really the difference between the Nyala female and the kudu female. So I see they've gone off, and I'm going to continue on the drive to see if we can find Hosanna. I'm hoping that he is perhaps still in the same area that we heard that he was yesterday. Let's go across and see. So it's been quite a nice day. It's nice and cool. I know that we've been complaining about the heat, but I'm actually enjoying this cool weather for a change. The rain came pelting down yesterday, which resulted in everything, literally all the power and everything going off in the area. So we're quite grateful that we could actually be online today. Okay. So while I am on the hunt for Hosanna, I am going to take you back to Jamie, who has got the lions.
I have got the lions indeed. I have got the lions continuing their snacking. Morning, guys. And I've watched several different people drive through that pile of lion scat now, myself included, so it's not as though I was spared that indignity. Oh, ugh, horrible. Okay, so what shall we talk about now with regards to the lions? Pamela has provided us with the next direction. Pamela's wondering about what happens to the skin of the zebra. Oftentimes it will be taken by an opportunistic hyena and chewed upon for weeks to come. Now, skin, it doesn't have very much in the way of nutrition. It's not very edible, provided that the inside layers of the skin are disposed of. So the hyena will chew it and 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 chew it. Eventually it'll sit in the sun for a little while, it'll turn into leather, and it does basically become a hyena chew toy. It's not uncommon to wander around on foot out here and find a piece of leathery skin, particularly when food is scarce. Hyena are capable of digesting it, but it's not very easy to eat. Skin is unbelievably tough, particularly the skin of things like zebra, buffalo, and what are they called again? Oh yes, wildebeest. It is very tough. I've in the past had to chop up dead wildebeest and zebra for various reasons. One, all natural deaths, but to utilize for camera traps, to open up the carcass, to use for various other things as well. And the skin is incredibly difficult to get through. Unbelievably difficult to cut through unless you've got a very sharp knife. It's a lot tougher than our skin. We're actually quite chewy and soft in comparison. And even with even less fur. So we're actually quite an appetizing thing to eat if we weren't so instinctively scary to the other animals out here. I know what I was going to talk about. I've been desperately trying to rack my brains, trying to remember where my train of thought was taking me. I was going to say that I think at this point the Nkuhumas have done a good enough job of keeping their sub-adults safe, that I would say that with the evokers coming in and actually having settled in without much in the way of competition, I would say that they're I don't want to give any promises, but I'd say they're more likely out of danger, more likely than not out of danger from the evokers. It's always touch and go with male takeovers, but that's what I think. I think that they're okay. They're nearly old enough now to go into estrus. Another 6 months or so. Don't know. Time will tell. Let us go across to David, who has got the heaviest flying bird in the entire world. I forgot about the 10-second countdown.
Yes, I got a bigger bird here that's just coming in your screen there, and this is a bastard. My guess is this is the male, just by looking at his puffed neck. You can see all the feathers there and his angle of walking or body language. Will always, of all the bastards you got, this is the largest of them all. And they tend also to spend a lot of time on the ground. You rarely see them fly. For one reason, they're some of the heaviest birds we got in the world. And I'm very happy you're all excited. Me too, and Manu too was telling Manu, wow, a bastard and a Cory bastard. I'm like, yes. When we started the drive this morning, we had a secretary bird on top of a tree. And many times when I was young, from a distance, I used to mistake the Cory bastard or secretary bird. Almost same body morphology and walking style from a distance. But when getting a little closer, you'll see they're designed differently. The secretary birds got feathers all the way to the knees. The Corys do not have. But they have that other commonality, spending most of the time on the ground, looking for food. And they could be feeding on anything. Rarely you get them looking for snakes. I like the secretary birds. And one of the best times to see a Cory bastard, and especially the male, is during the breeding plumage, when they have their necks so puffed up and they look so beautiful. Heavy birds, I said, playing. I'm going to show you how in breeding plumage, how it looks like. And if you look at their 4C there, see that, Manu? Very good, my finger out. And that is in a display. I would say that's a male in display, and that's during the breeding plumage. And they have to look so good like that to the females, just to excite the females. So a normal one is exactly this, what we just saw a few minutes ago. But while in display during breeding plumage, this is how a male looks like. And very similar to that one is another bastard they call the Denhams, that is even more colorful when they're in display, and especially during breeding plumage. And that's the number 6 there. See that? They puff up, yes, casted, that's pretty cool. And the females, you know, they have no choice. They become quite irresistible in that particular display. All right, very good. Hopefully we'll be able to see smaller or other... Did he walk away? Oh yeah, he's still walking there. Hong Kong, you'd like to know how tall is the curry bastard, and I would give it about 3 feet. That's the average height of a curry bastard. Let's get close to it, and especially the males. 2.5 to 3 feet is, I would say, the average height of a curry bastard, and that's from to the head. Let's get a little closer to it, and you might have another chance to see it, because they've come pretty close to the road. Give it about 2 feet, more or less. What about that, Manu? And just look at the crest coming out or behind the head. Beautiful. Look at the eyes. And the smoke crest like it came from a salon and someone who was just combing it backwards. He's just wondering who we are. But very nice just to see how relaxed he is. And this is basically fully grown. Very unusual to see them in flocks, like 3, 4, 5 together. You will see them in ones, when you're like in twos. And I think this might be a highlight for me on my drive this morning, to see a curry bastard. See how he walks, moving the neck, but basically looking for anything to feed on. And like, oops, sorry, that stick almost made you stumble. But very strong legs and very heavy birds. And by virtue of them being heavy, it's very difficult to see them fly. Of course, if threatened by would be as a bigger... See the neck puffing up? They would definitely fly. I was trying to see if we could get a call for that bird. I'd be more than happy. I haven't had it called. You really... excuse me. You really hear them calling, and I don't even think I have a call for it. I have an app, and also my app doesn't have a call. Did you catch yourself something? Definitely. That was a very quick swallow. The neck feathers to me are the most beautiful, and see how barred they are. What are you looking for? More insects? Yeah, most birds of this size, that's what they'll be doing. Very good, very well entertained by curry bastard, which I've not seen for quite some days. And I think Jackie in South Africa have an antelope that got horns.
Yes, so no Hosanna here. Otherwise, this impala would be showing us some signs of distress. But instead, he's actually quite relaxed, chilling out here, lying down, and doing what we call chewing the cud. Being ruminators, impalas do this. They will chew grass or whatever they've been eating. It goes back down to the stomach and then comes from the stomach back into the mouth again for them to chew it. That's why when you see their dung, it's very, very, very finely packed little balls, because of this process that they use to digest all the cellulose in the grass. But look at him. We've been sitting here for quite a while watching him, and he doesn't have a care in the world. Just sitting relaxed. And I don't think he's got any plans of moving soon either. His tummy seems quite full, quite round and bloated. Probably wants to digest everything before he gets up and goes again. And he's all by himself here. Papa, I didn't catch that question. Could you please repeat for me, Kirst? I'm sorry, do they?
Do they fall off? Can the horns fall off?
Sorry, Papa. I couldn't quite catch the question. Their horns do not fall off. Their horns are part of their skull, and they grow over time from when they are young, and even when they die, the horns will still be attached to the skull. I hope that answers your question, Papa. Well, I think he hears something now. Seems to have turned his head towards a direction. There are a few birds making quite a lot of noises, and one of the birds is the francolin, the crested francolin, which can be quite noisy and also is a very good indicator of any predators that are around, because it does do alarm calls. But no, not bothered. It wasn't something to be alarmed about. Still quite happily sitting there. So there we're focusing on his legs, and you can see that there's sort of a dark patch of hair there. Now, there is a gland that is found in that region, and that gland is said to assist, and this is actually a unique feature on impala. They're the only antelope that has this gland that is said to help them when they're running, that it releases a scent so that they will be able to follow each other. And you'll often also see the males thrashing bushes. They're not angry with the bush. They're actually just marking their territory, as they have another gland on the top of the forehead that they use to scent mark with, so to speak. Okay, so we are going to let him have a chilled out day for now and go back to Jamie with the lions.
I'm sure the impala's day is certainly more chilled out than this poor zebra's evening. We've just been thinking about whether or not it was as fresh as I thought it was, or if it was perhaps killed a bit earlier. They've done such a good job of devouring it that it's actually quite hard to tell. It just looks so fresh when we arrived here, and the blood was still wet, but I suppose on a cold, rainy-ish day, that would make sense. Oh, yummy. It's nice to see that the lioness who was mating with the Avoca male has managed to find herself some food. She was looking quite hungry, and I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for her the other day while we were watching the two of them together. I mean, she'd walk up to him and flirt, and she'd sort of present herself in a way that her intentions could not have been unclear, and he just wasn't interested. It was odd. I mean, I've seen lionesses have to work quite hard to attract the attention of the male before, particularly at the end of an estrus cycle, but this was something else. I think he was just done. He was just completely done. He just was not interested in her attentions. And I really think as though, I mean, it's complete anthropomorphizing, but she looked a little bit rejected. I've seen the same expression on Shadow's face when she tried to seduce Tingana, and she ended up being rejected, and she just looked a little bit woebegone, or at least a little bit confused and surprised. It's not the way things are meant to go out here. But on to a different note, it is unfortunately the end of the sunrise safari. It has been a lovely safari, and I'm very glad we got to catch up with the Inkahumas. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you had fun, and we'll see you for the sunset safari. Bye everyone, have a good day.